My people, this situation that happened in the Zamfara hills today is something that everybody needs to pay attention to, because the atmosphere in those communities changed completely when the news started spreading that vigilante groups had surrounded a bandit camp deep inside the hills. The whole thing started quietly, early in the morning, when local volunteer teams who have been watching some suspicious movement for days finally decided that they were not going to wait any longer. They moved closer, step by step, watching the paths the bandits usually take, watching the smoke from their fires, and listening to their activities from a distance. Before I continue, please remember to like this video and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow so you can keep getting these real-time updates. As the sun was rising, the vigilantes began to move into position. They didn't make noise, they didn't rush anything, because they knew that any small mistake could make the bandits escape or retaliate. These are people who have been troubling nearby communities for a long time, taking people's peace, breaking families, disturbing farmers, creating fear every single day. So the vigilantes wanted this move to be well planned. Think about it. When a community feels tired of living in fear, they sometimes come together because they just want their homes to be safe again. While they were positioning themselves, many villagers were praying quietly, hoping that this time things would go well. And as you're listening, don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you won't miss updates like this. The hills in Zamfara are not easy to navigate. The terrain is rough, the paths are narrow, and the trees and rocks make visibility difficult. But the vigilantes used that to their advantage. They split into groups, some taking the left side of the hill, some going through the thick bushes on the right, and some climbing from behind the camp so the bandits would not see them coming. They knew that if they surrounded the camp properly, the bandits would have nowhere to escape. They waited for the right moment, watching, listening, and making sure that their movements remained hidden. You can actually imagine the tension in the air as everyone held their breath, waiting for the perfect time to move. And again, please like this video and hit that subscribe button, because these updates take real effort to bring to you in a clear and peaceful way. By the time the vigilantes reached the final positions, the whole area was already calm. Birds stopped making noise. Even the wind felt slow. And suddenly, everything changed. The first group signaled the others, and before the bandits even realized what was happening, the vigilantes had already blocked all the major paths leading out of the camp. You need to understand that these bandits were not expecting anyone to challenge them at that moment. They believed they were hidden enough, high inside the hills, far from any quick security response. They didn't imagine that volunteer groups, people from the same communities they have been disturbing, would be bold enough to climb the hills and confront them. Please, as the gist is getting interesting, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel. Once the camp was surrounded, the vigilantes started moving in slowly. They didn't rush because that would create chaos. Instead, they used patience. They made sure every exit route was covered. They made sure communication remained clear among themselves. At that point, they knew that something big was about to happen. The level of courage they displayed shows how determined these local groups are to protect their communities. Remember, these are not trained military soldiers. They are ordinary people who decided to take action because their families and homes needed protection. This is why I always tell viewers, like this video and subscribe, so you can support proper information that keeps communities aware and prepared. Inside the camp, the bandits were relaxed, not knowing that anything unusual was going on outside. Some of them were resting, some were planning their next movements, and some were simply waiting for evening to move out. They didn't know that the environment around them had already changed completely. They didn't know that eyes were watching them from multiple angles. They didn't know that the routes they usually escape through were already blocked. They didn't know that the vigilantes had spent days studying their behavior, their routines, and their weak points. This level of preparation is what makes this particular story so powerful. And please, if you're enjoying this gist, tap the like button and subscribe, don't forget. As the vigilantes closed in, some of the bandits began to sense that something felt different. Maybe it was the silence. Maybe it was the movement of leaves. Maybe it was pure instinct. But by the time they realized it was too late, they were already surrounded. The vigilantes then made the final move, tightening their positions and securing the environment to make sure no one escaped. You know when tension rises so much that even breathing feels loud? That's exactly the kind of pressure that filled that hilltop. The entire operation lasted for hours, and it changed the atmosphere of the region. People in nearby villages were trying to find out what was happening. Some were calling relatives who live closer to the hills. Some were waiting anxiously by the road. And throughout all this, you could feel the mixture of fear and hope moving through the communities. They were scared because any confrontation creates risk, but they were hopeful because maybe, just maybe this time, something meaningful would happen. And while you're following this story, please like this video and subscribe so you always get updates that matter.